Alright guys, we're going to do a motor upgrade in the crawler. We're going to go from the 35 term sealed can Red Cat 35 that I had in the truck. And we're going to go through and put this 35 term boost rebuildable mod motor from rc4wd in. Now you can see the biggest difference is the end bell on this. And we're going to go through and show you how I prep a motor and get it ready to go in a truck and how we break this in. And what the major differences are between this and the sealed can motor we already had. Alright guys, so here's what's inside of your sealed can motors that most of your ready to runs come with. Here we have the armature and the can. Here's your end bell. Now, this doesn't have real springs on it, it's just got these copper flexible wires. You can see there's a pretty good amount of wear on the brushes, but they still have a lot of life left in them. But downside is once you open up one of these motors, you pretty much trash them. Take a better look at our armature. Out of there, you can tell it's been raining water. You can't really open it up to clean all the water out of them. So this is what happens inside your motor. And I blasted out with motor cleaner and everything else you're supposed to do to it, and they just get old and beat up, especially in our scale trucks, and especially if you run them in water. Now, the other interesting thing about this, you see the little drill marks, is how they balance this armature. And this one was pretty out of balance because it's got some pretty heavy cuts in it for balancing it. And if our copper winds, it should be 35 turns if I unsoldered it and dewound it. And this motor just uses plastic thrust washers on the front and rear to shim the motor out. What is it? It's not too bad for some of these entry-level motors I've torn apart, but they definitely drilled a massive amount out of the arm to get it to balance. We'll get this thing set to the side, and we'll go through the RC four-wheel drive rebuildable motor. You can also see some pretty good wear on the comm where they ramped it up to run in a normal direction. You can see there's the dark spots on the comm where the brushes were jumping. And again, on this type of motor, when you see that kind of wear, you can't do anything about it. You wouldn't even know it was there, but it does affect the performance. We get the RC4, get this stuff put off to the side, and I'll show you guys the RC four-wheel drive motor. And this is the inside of, or the end bell off our RC four-wheel drive motor. You see we got external brush hoods. The brushes have heat sinks on them. They are screw-in brushes. All the way around, it is ball bearing supported instead of bushed. And on the inside, we have our lock ring, and you can see the inside of the brush hoods. Now, on this motor, we can simply unscrew the tabs and the heat sinks and replace the brushes and springs when they wear out. Also, for tuning, if I really wanted to change the torque or RPM of it, you can change the weight of the springs. A stiffer spring will give you more torque and more brush wear, and a lighter spring will give you more RPM and less torque, but you run the risk of arcing out on your comm. It was all about finding a happy balance. Yeah. This is a RC four-wheel drive arm. It is a machine wound arm, so the coils aren't going to be super tight, but they do look tighter than the ones that are on a Red Cat motor. Focus. You definitely see the coils are wound tighter. Not as nice as you would find on a hand wound motor, but we didn't spend hand wound money on this either. So nice shiny new comm, and we'll start getting get this thing put back together and show you how we're going to time it and put it back in the truck. Guys, we got the motor put back together, got the bearings oiled, and I have it set at 0 timing right now, and spinning in the direction it's going to be in the truck. So we got it hooked up to our speed control and the thermostat, and we're breaking this motor in. Don't break in water unless you really know what you're doing, because you can do a lot of damage to the motor if you don't get cleaned out right. But we'll do a nice dry break in and give this motor a good chance at a long life before we have to tear it down and rebuild it. It's running. We'll just leave it hooked up at, I got it just past just enough throttle to get a good solid RPM out of it. And it's not really anything, it's maybe not even quarter throttle. But we'll let it sit here for about 5 minutes and come back to our fully broke in and ready to run motor. Alright, so we've had our motor running for about 5 minutes, long enough to get these brushes to take a seat. And now I want to show you guys how I time motors. So on a crawler, unless you want the same speed forward and reverse, which on this can is pretty close to inline where they change the colors on the sticker, is 0. It's about the same RPM, and you can check your timing by revving the motor. Then make sure it sounds about the same in forward and reverse. So what we're going to do now is we're going to advance the timing on this just a little bit. Alright guys, so set this up and we got it running. What you want to do is just loosen these 2 screws. Loosen that one. And this one. Good motor change. And what we're going to do is get timing marks right here. And we're going to go the opposite way of the motor. Motor normally turns. Each one of these little marks is about 12 degrees of timing. Don't want to go too far with it. I don't know if you guys can hear it on video, but the motor just changes tone right there. It's pretty much in line with the hash mark. And if you had an amp meter, you can get this really dialed in. And you don't need to over tight these timing screws. Should feel the motor hit that happy spot again. You don't need to go too far past that. Now what will happen is, turn my cruise control off. I'll have more RPM forward. And we have in reverse. Sorry about that, guys. I timed it backwards, but there we go. So we got more RPM in forward, and we have in reverse. And you can tell, let's see if I can catch it on camera, if you've got your timing retarded, because you'll throw a lot of sparks in reverse. But there we go. That's how I time the motor. We'll get it put back in the truck, and that's about it for this video. Last thing to do before we put this thing in the truck is grab some 3-in-1 oil. And it's a ball bearing motor, so it don't take much. And we're just going to put a drop right on the bearing, let it soak in. And do the same thing on the front. And I got a nice broken in rebuildable motor for the crawler. I don't use anything on the brushes in these. They're way too dirty and dusty conditions. They'll just attract more crap. So we'll get this guy back in the truck, and I'll do another video on how it performs. You guys have a good day, and remember, if you're looking for any crawler parts or anything RC or slot car related, to check out the guys at J&B Hobbies in Janesville, Wisconsin. Remember to like and subscribe, and thank you all for watching.